Hello everyone, I'm Black Marvin, and today I'm going to show you how to achieve 3D depth by using the Kilohearts ecosystem and especially the Nonlinear filter. Every time there's a new Kilohearts plugin out, I'm kind of trying to see how I can use it without using it for its first intended purpose, or just how can I use it in a different way or use it creatively. This is possible because there's Snap Eep and Multipass, which is different ways to load the snap-ins. So in this case, in this video, I really use the mid-side possibilities that you have with Snap Eep. And with that, we're going to achieve some more perceived depth, a deeper perceived depth in the sound. But before going in, make sure you subscribe to that channel. You don't want to miss all the exciting content that's coming in. And let's go. Since we want to recreate what a preamp would do, we need some example and we need to understand what a preamp does to our sound. We're going to take two points of comparison. The first one is going to be Little Radiator by Sound Toys, and it is recreating a preamp. So take a look here at the linear analysis inside the plugin Doctor. Check out the curve as I dial up the mix knob. And I'm going to do the same thing with the harmonic analysis. So all of this is harmonic distortion being applied to the spectrum. Second plugin I'm going to use as a point of comparison is Coffee Pun by Acoustica. It is a freeware and it is a really awesome Poltec style EQ. But we're going to focus on the preamp section here. So just as it is engaged, you see what it does to the spectrum, and look at what happens when I dial it up. Obviously, this is way over the top, and when it happens, it creates like audible distortion. And now this is my preamp plugin at work. Let's go to the harmonic analysis. So we can see this adds harmonic distortion as well. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly the same thing, but we know that we are in the realm of that soft distortion that preamp provides. So this is the Snap E preset containing the preamp setup I did. First, it is mid-side, so we have these two lanes here. This one is mid, this one is stereo. This is nothing new, but it's a really cool feature that you can do. You can split the mid and the side signal, and this is where the magic happens. In the mid lane, I have a nonlinear filter that is on saturated mode and also on low pass. And you can see that there's some drive being added here. And I also have one that is on high pass to emulate that low end action on the spectrum, but you can also disable it if you want, especially later because we're going to work on a whole mix. So sometimes you might want to disengage the one that is affecting the low end of the spectrum. On the side lane, I have a very similar nonlinear filter here. It's on saturated mode as well, but there's a little bit of different setting on the drive, but although it's very similar. And here I have a second nonlinear filter that is set up on low pass, but this one is on tubular, so it adds up to the first one. And this one goes right into the idea of having 3D depth. That's why I wanted the side distortion to be a little bit different from the mid distortion. And of course, there's the non-linear filter. This is the exact same one. It's affecting the low end of the spectrum. So going back to the idea of 3D depth and having a different setup for the side, there's a Kilohearts plugin called Has. And this one is going to give you a stereo separation effect. Well, in fact, it's going to trick your ears into believing that there's a stereo separation because it's just going to apply a small millisecond delay. And that millisecond delay will trick your ear into perceiving a stereo separation or some sort of stereo expansion. The reason I'm explaining this one to you is because I'm using the same logic for the mid and side preamp. Because there's a different setup for the mid and the side, it's going to trick our ear into perceiving that there's a difference in both the mid and side signal. And that difference can trick us into perceiving that there's some sort of depth and there's just some sort of difference between mid and side. So the contrast between these two channels will give us the illusion of depth. Or at least it's going to give us an illusion of some more character and some more vibrance from the original signal. So enough talking, let's see that in action. Even though my preset is in Snap Heap, I use Multipass as a container because I really like the interface. So I programmed a mid preamp knob. So this is controlling only the mid, and this one is controlling the side preamp. I'm going to talk about these a little bit later. So to test this plugin, I'm going to use a work in progress track from Solarpunk myself and Fallen One. So Solarpunk is my techno alias. This track is not mixed, but it's definitely good enough to give you a good preview. I added here a small output compensation because it's obviously driving up some gain. And now I'm going to bypass it so you can really see what it does. And this is how it sounds. Another cool thing you can try is once this is all set up, you can try just swapping different algorithms. Some are not. You can see that the warm one, even with a lot of drive, is not quite expressive in that sense. It's good for other stuff like filtering, but it's not really good for that kind of distortion thing we want. But you can try a tubular or clipped or just different algorithms and see how it ends up. Also, last thing, I have a mid top lift here. You can see that on it's rising up the Q, so it's giving a little top push on the high frequency, and same thing here. In case you want a bit of push on the top frequencies. So this is what it's doing. And that's it. And if I have an advice for you is even not just with the Kilohearts plugin, but any plugin, don't try to just focus on what it is meant for, but rather understanding what it does to the sound and how it affects it. And then you're gonna understand it on a deeper level, and there's tons of tricks like this with a lot of plugins, or just there's a lot of tweaks and special things that you can do if you really understand how one plugin, one effect affects the sound. Speaking of understanding things on a deeper level, make sure you check out my Patreon, which is called Black Marvin's Apprentices. It is really built around teaching and mentoring. This is some stuff I've been doing for years now, but I really decided to organize my teaching and mentoring around that. There's some one-to-one mentoring. Also, for students, members, there's every month one stream which is always about mixing techniques, and there's one stream which is always about sound design. And there's just a lot of stuff there. I'm not going to list it because it's going to be too long, but make sure you check it out. And I have my second group, which is a private Facebook group called Black Marvin's Friends. And this is basically a fan group where I I update you with my music, some previews, and some more personal stuff. So if you're interested in some of that stuff, it is linked in the description. And if you're not, it's okay. You can continue your journey as a free soul. I will see you in another video. Cheers.